Hey everyone, and welcome to the deep dive. So today, we're going to be diving into some of your source material on emotional self-care.
Okay.
And specifically, we're going to be looking at an article called Emotional Self-Care Examples, Nurturing Your Well-Being with Practical Tips. And that's from the blog Changing My Mindset.
So that's good.
Yeah. So this article basically offers a bunch of practical tips you can actually use in your daily life. And so
Let's do it.
let's just jump right in.
Okay.
What did you find interesting about this article?
Well, I think one of the most fascinating things about this article is just how it kind of
Yeah.
reframes emotional self-care. It's
Oh.
not just about, bubble baths and face masks
Right.
and pampering yourself. It's about something deeper.
Yeah. So less about the pampering and more about
Yeah.
really cultivating a relationship with yourself.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
about recognizing your own needs.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and taking steps to meet them, just like you wouldn't ignore a friend who's struggling, right?
Right.
You wouldn't be like, oh, you're having a hard time. Okay, well, good luck with that.
Yeah, you would be there for your friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you be there for yourself?
So if you're feeling really overwhelmed or stressed or whatever, how does this approach to emotional self-care help?
Well, think about it like tending to a garden.
Okay.
Our emotions are kind of like the plants,
Yeah.
that need nurturing and attention to thrive.
Right.
You can't just leave them
Yeah.
and expect them to be okay.
Right.
And the article actually uses this really cool analogy. It describes emotions
Okay.
as the threads
Yeah.
that hold together like the intricate web of our experiences.
Whoa.
So when we neglect those threads, when we don't take care of our emotional well-being,
Yeah.
the whole web starts to unravel.
It's a really powerful image.
It is.
Yeah, you don't think about that.
Right.
But it's true, your emotional well-being, it can really impact so many
Absolutely.
areas of your life.
And I think a lot of times we kind of push those emotions aside or we try to ignore them.
Right.
But the article's really saying hey, you got to pay attention to this stuff.
Right.
It's not just about feeling good in the moment. It's about creating a solid foundation for a more fulfilling life.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people maybe are aware of the importance of self-care,
Mm-hmm.
but actually putting it into practice
Right.
can be a whole nother
It's hard. It's easier said than done.
Totally.
You know?
So, what are some of the benefits of emotional self-care?
Okay, so the article talks about a lot of benefits, and they go beyond just a temporary mood boost.
Right.
It emphasizes the importance of emotional self-care for improved mental health.
Uh-huh.
So that can lead to reduced stress, reduced anxiety,
Mm.
and even symptoms of depression.
That's huge.
It is. Right.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder what other benefits we might be missing out on
Right.
by not taking care of ourselves emotionally. And, it goes beyond just our own individual mental health.
Okay.
The article connects emotional self-care to stronger relationships, too.
So how does that work?
Well, by tending to your own emotional needs, you become more present
Mm-hmm.
and more empathetic,
Right.
which naturally strengthens your bonds with other people.
So it's not just about you. You're actually
Right.
able to show up better for the people in your life.
Exactly. You're not so caught up in your own stuff
Yeah.
that you can actually be there for other people.
Totally.
And that's not all. Emotional self-care is also linked to increased resilience.
So you can bounce back from setbacks faster
Exactly.
and kind of handle whatever life throws at you.
Right. It's not just about feeling good. It's about building inner strength
Right.
so that when things get tough,
Yeah.
you can handle
Heck,
it.
you have the tools
Right.
to cope.
Exactly. And there's even more benefits like finding the courage to express yourself authentically,
Mm-hmm.
which can help you forge deeper connections with people and even experiencing greater life satisfaction.
So that deep down feeling of,
Like your joy, purpose, fulfillment.
Yeah.
Like that feeling of okay, I'm on the right track.
Yeah,
You know,
that's quite a list.
it is right.
Yeah, I'm sure some of those resonate more with people than others.
Absolutely. It depends on where you are in life,
Yeah,
what your current needs are
yeah.
and how emotional self-care can best support you.
So we've covered the why of emotional self-care, why it's important.
Yeah.
But now I want to know, how do we actually do that?
Okay, so
How do we reap these benefits?
the article provides a whole toolkit of strategies
Okay.
to help you prioritize your emotional well-being.
All right. Perfect.
Okay,
So let's dive into some of those.
let's do it.
And I think a good place to start would be mindfulness techniques,
Oh, okay.
because those seem particularly relevant for our fast-paced world.
Absolutely.
Right.
The article specifically highlights deep breathing and grounding techniques
Yeah.
as powerful tools for emotional regulation.
And what does that mean?
So deep breathing, like
Yeah.
it's about really like focusing on the feeling of each breath.
Okay.
Like feeling the physical sensations of the breath
Right.
as you inhale and exhale.
Okay.
And this helps to calm your nervous system.
So it's not just about like taking a deep breath. It's about like,
It's about being present with the breath,
yeah,
you know?
being intentional about it.
Bringing your attention to the physical sensations.
Okay.
And this can help bring you back to the present moment.
I can see how that would be really helpful when
Yeah.
you're feeling like overwhelmed.
Absolutely. When your mind is racing
Yeah.
and you're feeling stressed,
Yeah.
just taking a few deep breaths can really help to calm things down.
And then what about grounding techniques?
Grounding techniques are another great tool.
Okay.
It's about connecting with the physical world around you.
Mm-hmm.
So you might focus on the feeling of your feet on the ground or the weight of your body in a chair.
Right.
Or you might even like pick up an object and really notice the texture
Mm.
and the temperature and the shape of it.
So it's like bringing your attention.
Exactly. It's about bringing your awareness to the present moment
Okay.
through your senses.
So like when you're feeling kind of spiraling,
Yeah, when you're feeling disconnected.
you can kind of use that to like,
Yeah, it's like hitting the reset button,
okay.
bringing yourself back to the here and now.
Okay, cool. And what about,
What other mindfulness techniques did they talk about?
yeah, like engaging your senses in nature.
Oh, that's a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
And the article really emphasizes like actively engaging your senses,
Okay.
So
Mhm.
instead of just going for a walk
Yeah.
and like kind of zoning out,
Yeah.
really trying to notice the colors,
Mm.
the sounds, the
Yeah.
smells,
Okay.
really be present in the experience.
I know. I always feel calmer
Yeah.
when I'm in nature.
Like our natural medicine,
Totally. And the article also talks about technology,
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
which I think we can all relate to, like
Mm.
being on our phones and our computers all the time.
It's so easy to get caught up in the constant stream of information
Yeah.
and stimulation.
Right.
And it's exhausting for our brains.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
So the article stresses the importance of taking intentional breaks from technology.
Okay.
Like even just putting your phone down for a few minutes or designating specific times for tech-free zones
Yeah.
can make a huge difference in your mental and emotional state.
So you don't have to like go off the grid completely.
No, not at all.
Just like be more mindful.
Exactly. It's about being intentional with your technology use
Yeah.
rather than letting it control you.
I think people would be surprised at how much even a small change like that
Mm-hmm.
could impact their well-being.
Absolutely. It's about reclaiming control over your attention
Yeah.
and giving yourself space to just be.
That's great advice. All right. So we've covered mindfulness techniques
Yeah.
like breathing, grounding,
Mhm.
connecting with nature, unplugging from technology.
Yeah.
But I'm really intrigued by what the article has to say
Take
about
a stab at it.
creative expression as a form of self-care.
Yeah.
And it specifically mentions journaling, right?
Yes. Journaling is such a powerful tool.
And why is that?
Well, it allows you to process your experiences and
Mhm.
gain a deeper understanding of your emotions and your thought patterns.
Like how so?
Well, when you write things down, it's
I-
like you're getting them out of your head
Right.
and you can start to see them more clearly.
Okay.
You can start to notice patterns and you
Yeah.
can even start to challenge those negative thoughts.
So do you have any tips for like getting started with journaling?
Yeah, the article suggests starting with a prompt,
Okay.
like maybe reflecting on something you're grateful for
Mm-hmm.
or a recent challenge you faced.
Right.
And it also emphasizes the importance of consistency, like finding a specific time and place for journaling
Yeah.
that works for you.
So like making a ritual out of it.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like anything else.
Yeah.
If you want to make it a habit,
Right.
you got to be consistent with it.
And the article doesn't just limit creative expression to writing.
Right.
It talks about other things
Right.
like dancing or any kind of movement.
Yeah. Movement is such a powerful way
Mhm.
to express your emotion.
Yeah.
Sometimes words just aren't enough.
Right.
You know,
Totally.
sometimes you just got to move your body
Yeah.
to release those emotions.
And there's no right or wrong way to do it.
Exactly. The article encourages you to move without judgment.
Okay.
Just let your body express whatever emotions are present.
Awesome.
You know,
So if you're feeling stressed, just like,
put on some music and dance it out.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this has been a great exploration of
Yeah.
like different facets of emotional self-care.
Mhm.
But I want to touch on one more thing that's mentioned in the article, which is setting boundaries.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, which is something that I think a lot of us struggle with.
It's hard,
Yeah.
but it's so important.
Why is that?
Well, the article emphasizes that saying no
Yeah.
isn't selfish.
Okay.
It's actually an act of self-care
Interesting.
and self-respect.
So how do we get better at saying no?
Well, the article provides tips for communicating your needs assertively
Okay.
so that you're heard while still respecting the needs of others.
That's a tricky balance.
It is, it's a delicate balance,
Yeah.
but it's possible,
Yeah.
and one of the tips is to use I statements,
Okay.
like I feel or I need,
Right.
rather than blaming or accusing others,
I see.
so instead of saying you're always doing this,
Yeah.
you might say, I feel overwhelmed when this happens.
Okay.
It's a subtle shift,
Mm-hmm.
but it can make a big difference.
Yeah, because it's not about placing blame.
Right.
It's about just like,
It's about taking ownership of your own feelings
Right.
and expressing them clearly.
okay, this has been such a good deep dive so far.
Yeah?
We've covered mindfulness techniques, creative expression, setting boundaries,
Yeah.
and it feels like we're really building this like toolkit
Right.
for emotional self-care.
Absolutely. We're just getting started, though.
Awesome.
There's so much more to unpack in this article.
All right, well, stay tuned, listeners,
Yeah.
because we're going to be right back after the break.
And we'll dive even deeper.
Okay, see you soon.
See ya.
All right, so welcome back to the deep dive.
Okay.
We're continuing our exploration of emotional self-care using this article from Changing My Mindset as our guide.
Yeah, it's been really interesting so far.
Yeah, definitely. And just to recap, we were talking about mindfulness techniques, creative expression, and setting boundaries.
And each of those offers, so much potential for growth,
Yeah.
And what I find interesting is how those practices can really work together.
Right, so you could use like mindfulness
Right.
to help you know when you need to set boundaries.
Exactly. Like if you're feeling really overwhelmed and resentful,
Yeah.
that might be a sign that you need to set some boundaries.
Yeah, and the article also talks about nurturing supportive relationships,
Yeah, that's a big one.
which makes sense because
Yeah.
we are social creatures. We need connection.
Absolutely. We need those close bonds.
Yeah, and it's easy to let those slip
Mhm.
when life gets busy.
It happens to all of us.
So the article is reminding us to be intentional about
Right.
cultivating those relationships.
It's not just about scheduling time with friends.
Okay.
It's also about being there for each other.
So like reaching out when you need support.
Exactly. If you're going through a tough time,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to reach out to your loved ones.
And I think a lot of people hesitate to do that
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to burden anyone.
I know. I used to feel that way.
Yeah.
But the article really reframes that.
Oh, how so?
It says that allowing others to support you is a gift.
Okay.
It's a gift to them.
So it's not about being needy.
Right.
It's
When
about
allowing yourself to be vulnerable
Yeah.
and allowing others to show up for you.
Yeah. Because that strengthens the relationship.
Absolutely. It deepens the connection.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just our individual relationships.
Okay.
The article also talks about seeking out supportive communities.
Oh, interesting. So like finding groups or organizations
Yeah.
that share your interests.
Exactly. If you're passionate about something,
Yeah.
find other people who are passionate about it too.
So there's that sense of belonging.
Exactly. And that can be so important for our well-being.
Especially today when so many people feel isolated.
Absolutely. Technology has connected us in so many ways,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also created a sense of isolation for a lot of people.
Yeah. So finding those real-life connections
Yeah.
is really important.
It's crucial.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From mindfulness to creative expression to boundaries to relationships.
Mm-hmm. It's like we're building this multifaceted approach
Yeah.
to emotional self-care.
But there's one more element I want to explore,
Oh.
and that's self-compassion.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah, which can be really hard,
It is.
especially when we're used to being critical of ourselves.
Right. We have this inner critic that's always putting us down.
Yeah. So how do we quiet that inner critic?
Well, the article talks about cultivating a more compassionate inner voice.
Okay.
And one of the techniques it mentions is using positive affirmations.
So like how do those work?
It's about choosing statements that resonate with you.
Okay.
Like, I am enough,
Yeah.
or I am worthy of love and happiness.
Okay.
And then repeating those affirmations regularly.
Okay. So it's like we're consciously
Right.
shifting our self-talk.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We're replacing those negative thoughts
Yeah.
with more positive and compassionate ones.
And it's not about pretending everything is perfect.
Right.
It's about being kind to ourselves.
Exactly. It's about offering ourselves the same kindness
Yeah.
that we would offer a friend.
And I think that's really hard for a lot of people.
It is. It's easier to be kind to others
Yeah.
than it is to be kind to ourselves.
So besides affirmations,
Mhm.
what are some other ways to cultivate self-compassion?
Well, the article talks about developing self-care rituals,
Okay.
like activities that bring you joy.
Oh, like taking a bath or...
Yeah, or reading a book,
Okay.
or spending time in nature,
Mm-hmm.
like anything that makes you feel good.
So it's about making time for those things,
Exactly.
even when life is busy.
And treating those activities with the same importance
Yeah.
as any other commitment.
Yeah, because it's easy to let those things slide
Mhm.
when we're stressed.
But the article is saying, like, hey, these things are important.
Right.
They're essential for our well-being.
And it's not selfish to
Right.
take care of yourself.
It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
It's an act of self-love.
I love that this conversation about self-compassion has been really valuable.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
And it's a good reminder that we're all works in progress.
Absolutely. We don't have to be perfect.
We're all perfectly imperfect.
Exactly.
So what would you say is like the most important takeaway?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's the reminder that emotional self-care is not a luxury.
Okay.
It's a necessity.
Yeah.
It's not selfish to prioritize your well-being.
So it's like an investment.
It is.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And when we neglect our own emotional needs,
Yeah.
it impacts every area of our lives.
Right. From our relationships to our work
To our health,
to our health,
Mhm.
everything.
everything is connected.
Yeah. So emotional self-care, it's like creating a ripple effect.
I love that analogy.
Yeah, like it goes beyond just you.
Right.
It impacts everyone around you.
Exactly.
And the good news is you don't have to make drastic changes
Right.
to start incorporating this stuff.
The article offers so many practical tips that you can easily integrate into your life.
So it's about finding what works for you
Exactly.
and being consistent.
And being kind to yourself.
So what's one small act of self-care?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that you can commit to today.
Yeah, think about that.
We'll be back after a short break.
To explore more of these insights.
Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, as we wrap up our conversation about emotional self-care, I'm thinking about like the bigger picture.
Okay.
Like if everyone prioritized their emotional well-being,
Yeah.
how would that change the world?
Oh, wow. That's a big question.
Yeah, like imagine a world where everyone felt comfortable
Mhm.
expressing their needs and setting boundaries.
And having self-compassion.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wouldn't that be amazing?
It would be a totally different world.
Right. Like, think about how our interactions would change.
Yeah, like we'd be more understanding,
Yeah. More patient,
more compassion.
less judgmental.
Absolutely.
Like, conflicts could be resolved more peacefully.
Yeah, instead of everyone just like getting defensive
Right. And our relationships would be so much stronger.
because we'd be showing up as our authentic selves.
And we'd be able to really see and hear each other.
That's a beautiful vision.
It is. And the best part is
What's that?
you don't need to, like, make these huge changes
Right.
to start creating this ripple effect.
It's about the small things.
Yeah, like taking a few deep breaths when you're stressed,
Or telling someone you appreciate them.
or just taking a break when you need it.
Exactly.
Those little things can make a big difference.
And the more you do them,
yeah,
the more natural they become.
it's like building a muscle.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
Right. So, you know, for me, one of the biggest takeaways from this whole conversation is
Mhm.
emotional self-care is not a luxury.
Right.
It's essential.
It's an investment.
Yes. An investment in ourselves and in the world we want to create.
And you deserve that investment.
Exactly. Like we all do.
You are worthy of taking care of yourself.
And it's not selfish.
Not at all. It's actually the opposite.
Right. It's like the most responsible thing you can do.
Because when you take care of yourself,
Yeah.
you can show up better for everyone else.
This whole deep dive has been so inspiring.
I agree.
It's given us a fresh perspective.
And a lot of practical tools.
Yes. So as we wrap up this episode,
Mm-hmm.
I want to remind everyone that this journey to emotional well-being,
Mhm.
it's ongoing.
There's no finish line.
It's about making that choice every day
To prioritize your needs?
and to be kind to yourself.
Absolutely.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone.
Right. There's so much support out there.
There are communities, resources like the Changing My Mindset blog we talked about.
Yeah, check them out.
So to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you feel inspired to prioritize your own emotional well-being.
And remember,
Take care and be kind to yourselves.
you are worth it.